The night was quiet inside the palace of the Crimson Empire, where every sound echoed through the long silver halls. The alien royals were asleep, and only the guards remained awake, standing like statues in their shining armor. In the lower wings of the palace, a small light still burned, the servants' quarters. There, among tired faces and busy hands, worked a young human maid named Ilara. Ilara was different from the other maids. She never complained, never cried, even when she was treated unfairly. Her eyes always looked calm, but deep inside, she carried something no one could see, a quiet sadness that never left her. Humans in the Crimson Empire were treated as lesser beings. They served the aliens, obeyed their rules, and never dared to look a noble in the eyes. But Ilara was not ordinary. She had once seen something strange, a dream that felt more like a memory. In that dream, she stood beside a great dragon made of blue fire, and it whispered her name. That night, as the moonlight fell across the marble floor, Ilara was given a special task, one no other human dared to accept. She had to clean the royal dragon's chamber. The dragon was the symbol of the empire, a creature of pure energy, ancient and powerful. No human had ever entered its room and returned without trembling. But the prince himself, Prince Kale, had ordered it. Ilara of the servant wing, the guard said in a cold tone. You are to clean the dragon's resting hall. At once. Ilara froze. Now. It's almost midnight. His Highness commands it, the guard replied. She lowered her head and whispered, As you wish. The walk to the dragon's hall felt endless. The corridors were silent, the air heavy. The sound of her shoes against the cold floor echoed like a heartbeat. The deeper she went, the more the air changed, thicker, warmer, filled with the faint scent of smoke. When she reached the great golden doors, 2 alien guards stood watch. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark. No human has ever stepped inside at this hour, one of them said. Be careful, girl. The creature does not like visitors. Ilara nodded slowly. Her hands trembled as she pushed the heavy doors open. Inside, the hall was enormous, a place of glowing stones and silver chains. The walls shimmered with light from strange crystals. In the center, surrounded by smoke and flickering embers, lay the dragon. It was beautiful and terrifying. Its body was covered in scales that looked like glass, glowing softly with purple and blue fire underneath. Its eyes were large, golden, and ancient, like it had seen every century of the universe. Ilara took a slow breath. Her voice was barely a whisper. I mean no harm. I was sent to clean. The dragon's eyes opened. The air around her shifted. Its deep growl rumbled through the floor. Every instinct told her to run, but she didn't move. Her legs were weak, yet her heart was steady. She felt like she had seen those eyes before, not in this life, but somewhere far away, in her dreams. She took one small step forward. It's okay, she said softly. I won't hurt you. The dragon lifted its massive head, smoke curling from its nostrils. Then, without warning, it roared, a sound so powerful it shattered the glass lamps. Ilara fell to the floor, covering her ears. The ground shook. The creature lunged forward. Before she could escape, its jaws opened, and its fangs sank into her shoulder. Pain shot through her body like fire. She screamed, falling backward, eyes wide with shock. But the dragon stopped suddenly. Its teeth released her. It stepped back, trembling, confused. Ilara gasped for air, clutching her wound. Blood, bright and glowing blue, dripped from her shoulder. Blue. Not red. The dragon stared at the glowing blood, its eyes widening in disbelief. Then, something impossible happened. The creature bowed. It lowered its head to the ground before her, as if kneeling. Ilara froze, unable to understand what she was seeing. At that exact moment, the palace guards burst into the hall. They stopped in horror. The dragon, the mighty beast of the royal bloodline, was kneeling before a human maid. What happened here? One of them shouted. Before Ilara could speak, the sound of heavy boots filled the hall. Prince Kale entered, his silver-blue armor reflecting the light. His sharp eyes moved from the dragon to Alara. The dragon growled softly, lowering its head even more. Kale walked closer, cautious, his voice steady but tense. "Who gave you permission to enter here?" I was ordered," Alara said weakly. Her voice trembled. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Kale knelt beside her, seeing the wound. The strange blue light coming from her blood made his breath catch. "That's not human blood," he whispered. Ilara's vision began to blur. Her body felt like it was burning from the inside. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the prince's face, shocked, afraid, and curious all at once. Hours later, she woke up in a white chamber. The ceiling glowed softly, and the air smelled of strange herbs. Her shoulder was wrapped in silver bandages, but the warmth still pulsed under her skin. Two alien healers stood nearby, whispering to each other. "She survived the bite," one said. "That's impossible. No human ever survives dragon venom. And look at the readings, her cells are changing." Prince Kale entered quietly. The healers bowed and stepped aside. He looked down at Alara, his voice calm but cold. "You should be dead," he said. "I know," Alara whispered. "But I'm not." He studied her face for a long time, then said, "The dragon bit you, and then it bowed. That's never happened before. Tell me, what are you?" Alara turned her head weakly toward the window. Beyond the glass, she could see the dragon flying under the moonlight, circling the palace like a guardian. "I'm just a maid," she said softly. Kale shook his head. "No. You're something else." The air in the room grew still. The prince's gaze lingered on her glowing bandage. Something ancient had awakened that night, something the Empire had long tried to bury. And deep inside the dragon's roar, far above the palace, there was no anger, only recognition. As Alara closed her eyes again, she saw a vision, fire, wings, and a voice whispering from the past. "The blood of the Fireborn still lives." She woke with a gasp. Outside, thunder echoed across the sky, not from the storm, but from the wings of dragons awakening one by one, across the Empire. The night of silence had ended. Something powerful had returned. Morning came slowly over the alien city of Varyan, the capital of the Crimson Empire. The twin suns rose above crystal towers, casting red and gold light across the horizon. Yet inside the royal palace, silence hung heavy like fog. Everyone whispered the same question: how could a human survive a dragon's bite? The royal dragon, Sirith, had never bowed to anyone. Not even to the emperor. But last night, before dozens of witnesses, it had knelt before a fragile human maid named Alara. Now, she lay in the royal medical chamber, her wound still glowing faintly blue. Her eyes were open, staring at the ceiling as strange memories flooded her mind, wings of fire, ancient voices, and a planet that was not her own. She didn't understand any of it. When she tried to stand, pain shot through her shoulder, and the blue light flickered brighter beneath the bandages. The healers quickly moved toward her, clearly afraid. "Don't move, human," one said nervously. "Your blood is unstable." Alara frowned. "Unstable." The healer hesitated. "You were bitten by the prince's dragon. The venom should have killed you instantly. Instead, it changed you." Before she could ask more, the door opened. Prince Kale entered, tall and calm, his silver armor reflecting the morning light. His face looked tired, but his eyes, cold and sharp, were fixed on her. "Leave us," he said to the healers. They bowed quickly and exited. When the door shut, silence filled the room. Kale stepped closer, his hands behind his back. "Do you feel any pain?" "Yes," Alara said. "But it's not just pain, it's like my body is on fire." Kale studied the blue light beneath her bandage. "That fire is not ordinary. It's dragon fire. Your blood absorbed it instead of burning." Ilara's eyes widened. "That's impossible. I'm human." Kale nodded slowly. "That's exactly why it's impossible." He turned away, pacing across the room. I had the royal scientists test a drop of your blood. The results frightened them. What did they find? He stopped, facing her again. Your cells are not like any other humans. They have resonance, the same energy dragons carry in their core. Ilara didn't speak. The words made no sense to her. She was just a servant, a girl who cleaned the palace floors and served alien masters. How could she have anything in common with dragons, creatures of legend and power? Kale's tone softened. Do you remember anything? A mark. A memory that doesn't belong to this world. Ilara hesitated. Sometimes I see things when I dream, a woman with wings of fire, standing beside dragons. Her eyes are glowing like stars. She whispers my name. Kale's eyes narrowed. Your name. Yes. Ilara. He frowned deeply. That name, it doesn't come from this world either. Later that day, the Emperor's advisors gathered in the council hall, a great chamber carved from black stone. Prince Kale stood before them, trying to explain what had happened. The Emperor's voice boomed through the hall. You're telling me a human girl was bitten by my dragon, survived, and now carries its fire? Yes, father, Kale answered firmly. The Emperor rose from his throne. His armor gleamed crimson, and his eyes burned with anger. This cannot be allowed. You know the history of our kind. The fireborn humans nearly destroyed the stars. Kale tried to remain calm. That was thousands of years ago. There's no proof this girl is one of them. The Emperor slammed his fist onto the table. There is only one law for her kind, extermination. Kale's heart clenched. She did nothing wrong. She was a maid following orders. Silence! The Emperor roared. If she carries the fire, she carries the curse. And I will not risk another rebellion of dragons. The council members nodded, their faces pale with fear. No one dared to challenge the Emperor. Kale stood frozen, but inside, his thoughts were spinning. If she dies, we'll never know the truth. That night, Kale went back to Ilara's chamber. She sat by the window, her pale skin lit by the moonlight. The dragon was outside again, circling above the palace, never leaving her side since the attack. Ilara turned as he entered. You've been avoiding me, she said quietly. I've been fighting for you, he replied. Her brow furrowed. Fighting? Why? Kale sighed. The Emperor wants you executed. Ilara's lips parted in shock. Executed? For surviving. For what you carry, Kale said grimly. He believes your blood is the same as the ancient fireborns, humans who once ruled dragons. If he's right, your existence threatens the Empire. Ilara felt cold. But I didn't ask for this. I know, Kale said softly. That's why I can't let them harm you. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Tomorrow, they'll come for you. You need to leave tonight. Ilara looked at him, confused. Leave? Where can I go? I don't even know what I am. Kale's jaw tightened. There's someone who might know. In the mountains beyond the city lies the Temple of the Fireborn, forbidden and forgotten. If the legends are true, your answers will be there. Ilara hesitated. You're risking your life for me. He looked into her eyes. I'm risking it for the truth. My mother, she was human too. And she vanished the same way you appeared. Ilara's breath caught. Your mother? Yes, Kale said. And I believe she was fireborn. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Two lives from different worlds connected by one secret. Then Ilara whispered, What if your father finds out? Kale's voice was firm. He will. But by then, you'll be far away. Midnight came again. The palace slept. Kale led Ilara through hidden tunnels beneath the marble floors, holding a torch that flickered in the cold air. Every few steps, Ilara felt her shoulder burn faintly, like something inside her was calling to the dragon above. Why does it follow me? She whispered. Kale didn't answer right away. Then he said softly, because it's bonded to you now. Dragons only kneel before their master. Elara stopped walking, her eyes wide. Master? I can't control a dragon. Kale turned, meeting her gaze. You already did. The moment it bit you, it chose you. Thunder rumbled outside, even though the sky was clear. The dragon's shadow passed over the palace, its roar echoing like a promise. Kale opened the final door leading out into the forest. Go now, he said. Follow the northern ridge. You'll find the temple by dawn. Elara looked at him one last time. Will I see you again? Kale's expression softened. You will, if fate allows. She hesitated, then whispered, Thank you. As she stepped into the night, the dragon swooped down, landing behind her like a guardian of fire. Together, they disappeared into the mist. Kale watched them vanish, his heart heavy. He knew what would come next, his father's wrath, the hunt, the war. The forest beyond the Crimson Empire stretched endlessly, glowing under the light of twin moons. Trees with silver bark and blue leaves whispered softly in the wind. Strange creatures watched from the shadows as Elara walked deeper into the wilderness, her steps guided only by moonlight, and the dragon beside her. The creature, Cirith, moved silently, its body radiating warmth that kept away the cold. Its eyes glowed gold as it watched her every move. Elara still couldn't believe what was happening. Just a few days ago, she was a simple maid. Now she was running for her life with a dragon at her side. Every few steps, her shoulder burned again. The wound had changed, no longer a cut, but a faint mark glowing beneath her skin like living fire. She could feel Cirith's heartbeat echoing in her mind, as if their souls were connected. At times, she heard whispers in her thoughts, not words, but feelings. Calm, danger, hunger. The dragon was speaking to her in its own way. By dawn, she reached the cliffs that marked the border of the empire. Beyond them lay the Forbidden Lands, home to ruins and myths. She stopped to catch her breath, looking up at the jagged peaks ahead. The Temple of the Fireborn, she whispered. If it's real, it's somewhere beyond those mountains. Cirith rumbled softly, lowering its massive head beside her. Its golden eyes flickered. You know the way, don't you? Elara said. The dragon blinked slowly, almost like a nod. For the first time, she smiled. Then lead me there. Far behind them, back in the palace, the emperor stood in the war chamber, surrounded by holographic maps. His anger was silent, but deadly. She escaped with the prince's dragon, one general reported. The emperor's eyes narrowed. And my son? Still within the palace, my lord. He refuses to say where she went. The emperor turned sharply. Then we will find her ourselves. He raised his hand, pressing a command into his wristplate. The air shimmered, revealing dozens of small, glowing drones. Send the hunters. Scan every heat signature beyond the city. I want the human found before nightfall. The drones whirred to life, scattering into the sky like a swarm of silver insects. Meanwhile, Elara and Cirith climbed higher into the mountains. The air grew thin and cold. Snow began to fall, small flakes that sparkled in the dragon's light. Elara pulled her cloak tighter, shivering. Cirith slowed his pace, lowering a wing to shield her from the wind. Thank you, she whispered, placing a hand against the smooth scales. Her fingers tingled as the warmth passed through her skin. They reached a narrow path carved into the cliffside. The rocks glowed faintly blue, the same color as the mark on Elara's shoulder. It was a sign. She followed it until the path ended before a great stone gate, half buried in snow. Symbols carved into its surface glowed faintly when she touched them. Suddenly, her mark burned brighter, and the gate trembled. Dust fell from above as the doors slowly opened. Beyond them was a vast cavern, silent, empty, and filled with light that came from no visible source. Elara stepped inside cautiously. Cirith followed, his claws echoing softly against the stone floor. In the center stood a large pedestal made of black crystal. Carved into it were the words of an ancient language, Words Elara somehow understood. Here rests the fire that once united the stars. She frowned. What does it mean? A low voice echoed through the cavern, soft, ancient, and not entirely from this world. It means you have returned, child of fire. Elara spun around. At the far end of the cavern, a figure appeared, glowing faintly like starlight. It was a woman, tall and graceful, her body made of light and flame. Her face was gentle, yet powerful. Her voice filled the air like music. Who are you? Elara whispered. I am the memory of Seraphine, the first fireborn, the woman said. The last queen of humans before the aliens took our place. Elara's eyes widened. This can't be real. It is as real as the fire in your veins, Seraphine said. You carry my blood, the last of the fireborn line. The dragon bit you because it recognized the flame within. Elara's heart pounded. The Empire says humans are weak, that we were created to serve. Seraphine shook her head slowly. Lies written by conquerors. Long ago, humans and dragons were one. We ruled the skies together until fear divided us. The aliens stole our fire, the source of life and power, and used it to build their empire. Elara felt her throat tighten. Then why me? Why now? Because the dragons are awakening again, Seraphine said. They remember who they once served. The bond between your kind and theirs cannot be erased. The light around the spirit flickered. You must go to the heart of fire, hidden beneath this mountain. There lies the truth, and the key to saving both species. Elara stepped forward. But I don't know how. I'm just a maid. Seraphine smiled sadly. Even a candle can light 1,000 stars. You will find your strength when the time comes. The spirit began to fade. Beware, child. The Emperor will hunt you. His fear of your kind runs deep. But remember, the dragon's heart beats with yours. You are never alone. The light vanished, leaving only silence and the soft hum of energy in the air. Elara turned to Cirith. Did you know this? The dragon's eyes glowed, and she felt a soft pulse in her mind, a single thought, clear as words. Yes. I waited for you. Tears filled her eyes. Waited for me? 4 centuries. Elara fell silent, her heart heavy with awe and confusion. She reached out, touching Cirith's snout gently. Then we'll finish what they started. Outside, in the cold night sky, the Emperor's hunters closed in. Tiny lights blinked through the clouds, machines scanning for heat. Kale stood at his balcony far away, looking toward the mountains. He knew they would find her soon. He could almost feel it, the fire calling out across the stars. He whispered under his breath, Elara, don't give up. The truth is worth the danger. Back in the mountain temple, the ground suddenly shook. Elara stumbled, catching herself on the pedestal. What's happening? She shouted. Cirith roared, eyes burning bright. Cracks spread across the cavern floor, glowing red. The ancient power beneath the temple had awakened, and it was not alone. From the shadows above, dark shapes appeared, metallic wings, red lights, and the sound of engines. The hunters had found her. Elara looked up at them, a dozen flying machines descending through the cracks in the ceiling. Cirith spread his wings, fire building in his throat. Elara took a deep breath, her fear replaced by something new, courage. The mark on her shoulder flared to life, brighter than ever. Flames danced around her hands. For the first time, she felt the power inside her awaken completely. She looked at the machines and whispered, if they want fire, they'll have it. The cavern exploded with light as she raised her hand, and the dragon roared. The war for the fireborn had begun. Night stretched endlessly across the alien sky. The moonlight shimmered over the broken mountain peaks as Elara, Kale, and Cirith flew high above the burning ruins of the temple. The cold wind rushed past them, but none of them spoke. The silence carried the weight of everything they had lost, and everything they had just begun. Far below, the land glowed faintly red. The Empire's armies were already on the move. Columns of ships, drones, and war machines crawled like insects across the valleys. The Emperor would not rest until they were found. Ilara gripped the dragon's scales tightly. Her body still ached from the fight, but the mark on her shoulder pulsed with life. Each beat of her heart seemed to echo inside Siritha's chest. Their bond had deepened, stronger, faster, unbreakable. Kale sat behind her, his armor cracked and his blade dull. Yet his eyes burned with determination. "They'll hunt us until the edge of the galaxy," he said softly. Ilara turned her head. "Then we'll go where they can't follow." Sirith let out a low growl that sounded almost like agreement. His wings glowed as he soared through the clouds, heading toward the horizon. "Where are you taking us?" Kale asked. Ilara answered quietly. "To the floating ruins, the ones from the legends." Kale frowned. "The ruins of Elindra? They're cursed. No one who enters comes back." Ilara's gaze didn't waver. "Then that's exactly where we need to go." Hours later, the clouds parted, and the ruins appeared. They floated above the world like shattered islands in the sky, linked by bridges of light. Broken towers rose toward the stars, and rivers of glowing mist flowed between them. It was beautiful, ancient, and filled with silent power. Sirith landed on a wide stone platform. His claws clicked against the marble as the wind howled around them. Ilara stepped down carefully, her cloak fluttering in the breeze. She looked around in awe. "It's real." Kale followed, scanning the surroundings with his wrist device. "These ruins are older than the Empire itself," he muttered. "The readings are impossible. There's energy here that doesn't belong to any known source." Siritha's eyes glowed faintly. "The Fireborn built this place," he said through their link. "It was their sanctuary, their final home before the fall." Ilara touched one of the glowing symbols carved into the floor. It responded instantly, light spreading outward in circles, like ripples in water. A deep hum filled the air. Kale drew his weapon instinctively. "What did you do?" "I don't know," Ilara whispered. The floor opened beneath them, slowly, silently, revealing a staircase descending into the heart of the floating island. Sirith lowered his head. "The Temple of the Prophecy," he murmured. "It calls to your flame." Ilara hesitated only a moment before stepping forward. Kale followed, sword ready, and Sirith moved behind them like a guardian shadow. The staircase led to a vast underground chamber made of shining black stone. In the center floated a sphere of light, spinning slowly. Around it were murals carved in gold, showing humans and dragons standing together, their wings spread across the stars. Ilara's breath caught. "It's beautiful." Kale walked closer, running his fingers along the carvings. "These are not myths. This is history. The humans didn't serve the aliens, they led them." Sirith bowed his head slightly. "Before the corruption, yes. The Fireborn united the species under one flame. Until the Emperor's ancestors turned that power into domination." Ilara stared at the glowing sphere. "And what is this?" "The Heart of Fire," Sirith replied. "It is the source that connects all dragons, and the last memory of the Fireborn." As she stepped closer, the mark on her shoulder burned brightly. The sphere responded, pulsing with the same rhythm. Slowly, it floated toward her until it hovered just above her hands. Kale tensed. "Ilara, wait." Too late. The light exploded outward, wrapping her in a cocoon of golden fire. She gasped. Visions flooded her mind, cities of light, dragons soaring beside humans, laughter, war, and finally destruction. She saw the Emperor's ancestors stealing the heart, twisting its power, and turning humans into servants. And then she saw something else, something hidden deep in the Emperor's palace. A machine, pulsing with dark fire. A weapon. When the light faded, Ilara fell to her knees. Kale caught her quickly. "Ilara, are you okay?" She nodded weakly. "I saw everything. The Emperor has the Void Engine, the weapon that killed the Fireborn. He's rebuilding it." Kale's expression hardened. That's impossible. The void engine was banned by every empire in the galaxy. It's real, she said. And he'll use it to destroy Sirith, and every dragon alive. The dragon's eyes narrowed. Then we must destroy it first. Ilara looked between them. How? We can't fight an entire empire. Kale stood slowly, determination burning in his eyes. We don't need to fight them all. Just the heart. He looked at the murals again, tracing the patterns of stars etched into the walls. These coordinates, they lead to the Emperor's central fortress. If we can reach it, we can shut down the engine. Ilara hesitated. You'd go against your own father? Kale turned toward her, his voice quiet but fierce. My father stopped being my family the day he enslaved yours. They spent the next few hours studying the murals. The golden lines showed a map of star systems, ancient routes long forgotten. The ruins had once been a gateway, a portal that could move beings across space using the power of the heart. If we activate it, Kale said, we could reach the capital in hours. Ilara frowned. Or it could kill us. Sirith snorted smoke. It's worth the risk. Ilara smiled faintly. You sound just like him, she said, nodding toward Kale. Kale chuckled softly. Maybe that's why we're all still alive. But before they could activate the portal, the ground trembled. Sirith raised his head sharply. They've found us. Through the cracks in the ceiling, beams of light pierced the ruins. Ships descended from the clouds, imperial war vessels, hundreds of them. Their engines roared like thunder. Kale cursed under his breath. They tracked my armor. I should have known. Ilara grabbed his hand. Then let's give them something to chase. She pressed her palm against the heart. The entire chamber glowed, the carvings lighting up one by one. The ruins began to hum, shaking violently. Kale pulled her close. Ilara, if this goes wrong. It won't, she whispered. Trust the fire. Sirith roared, wings spreading wide as energy surged around them. Outside, the Empire's fleet fired their first volley. Inside the ruins, a flash of golden light swallowed everything. When the light cleared, the ruins were empty. Only a faint trail of fire lingered in the sky, rising higher and higher toward the stars. Meanwhile, deep in the capital palace, the Emperor stood before a dark machine, its center glowing with crimson light. Shadows danced across his face as he whispered. So the Fireborn returns. Good. Let her come. He pressed a button on his throne. The machine responded with a low hum. The void engine was awakening. And this time, it would burn everything. Would you like me to continue? The air shook with thunder as the hunters descended into the mountain temple. Their metallic wings cut through the smoke, red eyes flashing in the dark. Each machine was built for war, sharp, cold, and merciless. Ilara stood before them, her heart racing but her eyes steady. The mark on her shoulder glowed like molten gold. She could feel the dragon's power moving through her veins, pulsing with every heartbeat. Beside her, Sirith spread his wings, his scales blazing in shades of violet and blue. Steam rose from his nostrils as he prepared to fight. The first drone fired. A beam of red light tore through the air, but before it could hit, Sirith swung his tail, smashing it into the stone floor. The explosion shook the cavern. Pieces of rock fell like rain. Ilara threw up her hand instinctively, and a wave of fire burst from her palm. It hit another drone mid-air, melting it into molten metal. She gasped. She hadn't meant to do that. The fire had simply answered her fear. Sirith roared again. The sound was so powerful that the remaining drones faltered in the air, their systems cracking under the pressure of his voice. Ilara took a step forward, flames swirling around her hands. Her fear was gone now. She was not the same human maid who had scrubbed palace floors. Something inside her had awakened, something ancient. The drones regrouped, their lights glowing brighter as they prepared a second strike. Sirith lowered his head beside her. In her mind, she heard his voice again, calm, steady and filled with power. Trust the fire. Let it see through you. Elara closed her eyes. The world around her slowed. She could feel every spark, every ember, every heartbeat in the air. When she opened her eyes again, they burned gold. She raised both hands and screamed, not in fear, but in fury. A storm of fire burst from the ground, spiraling upward in a blinding column. The drones disintegrated one by one, their metal bodies turning to ash before they even hit the floor. When it was over, silence filled the cavern again. Smoke curled around her feet, glowing with soft light. Elara dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Her hands trembled. The fire faded from her eyes, leaving only exhaustion. Cirith bent down, his great head beside her. She rested her hand on his snout. I didn't know I could do that, she whispered. Now you do, the dragon replied. But before she could speak again, Cirith's eyes flicked upward. His pupils narrowed. Elara, he growled. They are not alone. A voice echoed from the shadows above, cold, sharp, and filled with arrogance. Impressive. So it's true, the Fireborn lives. Elara looked up. A figure stood on the ledge above the cavern entrance. He wore black armor, glowing faintly with crimson energy. His face was hidden behind a mask shaped like a dragon's skull. Behind him, dozens of alien soldiers appeared, each carrying plasma spears and dark energy shields. The figure jumped down, landing gracefully. His voice was calm, but deadly. You have no idea what you've done, human. Elara stood slowly, her body aching but her spirit unbroken. Who are you? He removed his mask. The light revealed a familiar face, cold eyes, sharp features. It was General Laros, the Emperor's most feared commander. The one who had burned the human colonies years ago. Cirith growled, flames licking his teeth. Laros smirked. I should have known the Emperor's pet dragon would betray us eventually. And you, he pointed at Elara. You are the reason. He raised his hand. The soldiers aimed their weapons. Take her alive. The Emperor wants her power tested before execution. Before the first shot could fire, a beam of blue light slashed through the air. One soldier fell, his armor shattered. Another followed. The roast spun around. Who dares? From the entrance tunnel, a familiar voice shouted, She's under my protection. It was Kale, the alien prince. He leapt down beside Elara, his plasma blade glowing bright blue. I told you to run, he said softly. I did, she replied. But they found me. He smiled faintly. Then we fight together. The soldiers charged. Kale moved like lightning, his blade cutting through their armor with precision. Cirith joined the battle, flames sweeping across the cavern like a living storm. Elara stood between them, her mark glowing brighter than ever. Every time Kale was in danger, her fire reacted, shielding him, guiding him. The Rose roared in frustration. Traitor prince! You would destroy your own empire for this human. Kale didn't answer. He swung his blade again, sparks flying. But the Rose was faster. He caught Kale's sword with his gauntlet and threw him across the cavern. The prince hit the wall hard, collapsing in pain. Kale! Elara screamed, running toward him. The Rose raised his hand. Dark energy gathered around his palm. No one escapes me, Fireborn. Before he could strike, Cirith lunged, his claws slamming into Theros's armor. The general stumbled back, growling. Elara knelt beside Kale. His face was pale, but he managed a weak smile. You still have the fire? She nodded, eyes glowing again. He whispered, then use it. Elara stood, her hair whipping in the rising heat. Flames danced around her feet, spiraling upward like wings of light. The Rose aimed his weapon again, but this time Elara didn't dodge. She stepped forward, raising her hand. The energy bolt hit her directly, but instead of burning her, it vanished inside her mark. The Rose froze. Impossible. Elara's voice echoed through the cavern, strong and powerful. You call humans weak. But we were never weak. You just forgot who we were. The mark on her shoulder blazed like a sun. A shockwave burst from her chest, throwing the Rose and his soldiers backward. The cavern walls cracked, and the ancient flames returned, pouring from the floor, the ceiling, the stones themselves. Cirith roared, joining her power. Together, dragon and human became one light, a storm of fire and fury. When the flames finally faded, the Rose was gone. Only ash remained where he had stood. The soldiers fled, terrified. Ilara fell to her knees again, trembling. Kale limped toward her, helping her stand. You just destroyed the Emperor's strongest commander. She gave a faint, exhausted laugh. I didn't mean to. Cirith lowered his head. It was meant to be. Kale looked at the burning cavern around them. Now the Empire will come for all of us. Ilara met his eyes. Then we fight them together. He nodded slowly. Together. The dragon spread his wings, lifting them into the night sky through the broken temple roof. Below them, the mountains burned with ancient fire. For the first time in centuries, the flame of the Fireborn had returned, and the Empire trembled. When the light faded, Ilara opened her eyes to darkness. The air smelled of smoke and iron. The ground beneath her wasn't stone anymore, it was metal. Smooth, cold, and humming with hidden energy. She sat up slowly, blinking. Kale lay a few feet away, his armor sparking faintly from the teleport shock. Cirith crouched beside them, his glowing eyes scanning the shadows. Where are we? Ilara whispered. Kale pushed himself up, grimacing. We made it. He looked around, and his voice grew quiet. We're inside the capital. Through the cracks in the metallic floor, Ilara could see red light pulsing below. Slow, steady, like the heartbeat of something massive. This is under the Emperor's fortress, Kale said. The old energy chambers. My father sealed them off decades ago. No one comes here anymore. Cirith tilted his head. He sealed them because the void engine sleeps beneath his throne. Ilara shivered. Then we're closer than we thought. The dragon lowered his head so she could climb on. Let's find the way in, she said softly. They moved through the tunnels in silence. The walls were lined with pipes that glowed faint red, and the air was heavy with the smell of burning fuel. Faint echoes of machines filled the distance. Kale led the way, holding a small wrist light that flickered weakly. His steps were slow but confident. He knew these passages better than anyone. Ilara followed, her heart pounding. Every shadow looked like an enemy waiting to strike. Cirith walked last, his tail brushing against the walls, leaving faint scorch marks. After what felt like hours, they reached a massive gate carved with the Emperor's seal, a dragon wrapped around a sword. Kale stopped. Beyond this door is the core chamber. Ilara glanced at him. How do we open it? He gave a grim smile. Normally, you'd need a blood code from the royal line. Cirith rumbled. Then you already have it. Kale hesitated, then nodded. He stepped forward, pressing his palm against the gate. A thin beam of red light scanned his hand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the seal turned blue. The door opened with a heavy hiss, releasing a wave of heat. Beyond it lay a cavernous chamber, glowing with crimson light. Giant machines stretched into the ceiling, pulsing like veins. At the center stood a colossal sphere of dark fire, rotating slowly, each turn radiating power that made the air tremble. Ilara gasped. The void engine. Kale's voice was low. The weapon that can erase worlds. Cirith growled softly, his wings folding tight. It feeds on dragon fire. That's why they hunted us. Ilara stared at the swirling flames. She could feel the energy pulling at her mark, almost like it recognized her. It's alive, she whispered. Kale looked at her sharply. What? It's calling to me, she said. Like it knows who I am. Before Kale could stop her, she stepped closer. The air around her shimmered, and the mark on her shoulder blazed bright gold. Flashes filled her mind, memories that weren't hers. She saw the Emperor, younger, standing before the same machine. His eyes filled with ambition and fear. And behind him stood a woman, kind, gentle, and human. Ilara gasped. Kale. He turned toward her, confused. What is it? She swallowed hard. Your mother. She wasn't alien, was she? Kale froze. How do you? She was human, Ilara said. Half fireborn. The words hit him like a blade. He stepped back, shaking his head. No. That's not possible. My father told me she died before I was born. Ilara's eyes filled with sorrow. He lied. She helped build this weapon, but when she learned what he planned, she tried to stop him. He killed her, and erased every record of her existence. Kale stood silent, trembling with anger. His voice cracked. He used her power to fuel the engine, didn't he? Ilara nodded. And now he wants to use me to finish it. Siritha's growl echoed through the chamber like thunder. Then we end it tonight. Kale turned toward the void engine, fury replacing shock. If this thing keeps beating, it will consume every dragon, and maybe the stars themselves. He drew his sword. We destroy it. But before he could strike, a deep, calm voice filled the chamber. I expected you to come. The Emperor stepped out of the shadows, his long cloak glimmering with symbols of fire and darkness. His face was cold, but his eyes burned with strange light. Father, Kale said, his voice low and sharp. Son, the Emperor replied. You've disappointed me. Kale raised his sword. You turned the galaxy into a graveyard. You killed Mother. You made slaves of the innocent. You deserve worse than disappointment. The Emperor sighed. And yet, you still carry my blood. He turned his gaze toward Ilara. And you, the last fireborn, do you even know what you are? Ilara glared at him. I know enough. He smiled faintly. No, you don't. That mark on your shoulder, it's not just a gift. It's a key. The key that unlocks the final stage of the void engine. Kale stepped in front of her. You won't touch her. Ah, the Emperor said softly. But she will come willingly. He lifted his hand, and the engine behind him began to glow brighter. Ilara felt its pull again, stronger this time. The fire inside her chest burned, fighting to escape. Sirith roared, blocking the light with his wings. Do not listen. But it was too strong. The flames inside her wanted to join the engine. Her knees buckled as golden light poured from her skin. Kale grabbed her. Ilara, stay with me. She clenched her fists, teeth gritted. It's pulling me. The Emperor's voice echoed through the chamber. You were born for this, child. To complete what your ancestors began. Once the fire merges, the universe will kneel. Kale turned toward him, rage flashing in his eyes. Then I'll stop it myself. He charged forward, sword raised. The Emperor moved faster than thought, deflecting the blade with a sweep of his hand. The shockwave threw Kale backward. Sirith lunged next, flames pouring from his jaws. The Emperor raised his arm, absorbing the fire into his armor like it was nothing. You cannot kill me with my own creation, he said coldly. Ilara struggled to her feet. Her entire body glowed with golden fire. The mark burned painfully now, but beneath the pain, she felt something else. Power. She closed her eyes and whispered, Seraphine, guide me. A voice echoed faintly inside her mind, the voice of the fireborn queen. Remember, child. The fire is not meant to destroy. It's meant to free. Ilara's eyes snapped open. The flames changed, turning from gold to white. The pull of the engine reversed. Instead of draining her power, she began to drain its. The Emperor's eyes widened. What are you doing? Ilara raised her hands. Ending the curse you started. The void engine screamed. Cracks spread across its surface as the white fire poured into it. Kale stood again, grabbing his sword. Now, Ilara! He charged, striking the Emperor's chest. The blade pierced the armor, light bursting from the wound. The Emperor fell to one knee, eyes blazing with shock and fury. You think this ends me? I am the fire. Ilara's voice was steady. Then burn with it. She unleashed the full power of her mark. The chamber exploded in light, pure, endless, cleansing light. Silence filled the ruins. The once blazing heart of the Empire was now only a wasteland of broken metal and flickering light. Ilara stood among the ashes, her white fire fading slowly. She could still feel the echo of the explosion deep in her bones, the power that had erased the void engine and everything it touched. Kale leaned against a shattered pillar, clutching his wounded side. His armor was cracked, his face pale, but his eyes were alive. Cirith lay nearby, wings spread wide, breathing heavily but still strong. His scales glowed faintly with red heat, the last embers of the battle still pulsing inside him. Ilara looked around, trembling. It's over, isn't it? Kale gave a small, tired smile. We destroyed the engine. The Emperor is gone, I think. But Cirith lifted his head, eyes narrowing. No, the fire does not die that easily. Before Ilara could ask, a faint whisper drifted through the air. A voice, soft but cold, like smoke curling through the ruins. You cannot kill what was born from the stars. Ilara froze. The ashes around her began to move, swirling slowly into the air. They gathered in a spiral, forming a shape, a shadow shaped like a man. The Emperor's voice echoed again. Did you think light alone could end the flame? Kale drew his sword, though his hands shook. You're dead. The shadow smiled, its eyes burning red. Death is a word for the weak. I transcended it long ago. Ilara stepped forward, her golden mark flickering. You're nothing but an echo. An echo? The Emperor whispered. No, girl. I am the origin. The void engine was only my vessel. My true essence lies within every ember you've ever touched. The air around them turned heavy. Flames flickered across the ground, black and red, eating away at the metal floor. Cirith spread his wings, growling. He's trying to reform. His soul is bound to the fire. Kale raised his sword again. Then we end him before he takes form. He charged forward, but the shadow moved faster. It stretched like smoke, wrapping around Kale's body and throwing him into the air. He hit the ground hard, gasping in pain. Ilara's heart pounded. She reached for him, but the shadow blocked her path. You carry her power, it hissed. The Fireborn's gift. That makes you my key. Ilara stepped back, her hands glowing with white light. You'll never use me again. The Emperor's shadow laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. Child, you already have. Suddenly, the mark on Ilara's shoulder burned hotter than ever. Flames burst from her arm, spiraling into the air. Her power wasn't hers anymore, it was being pulled, drained. Kale forced himself up. Ilara! Fight it! She screamed, falling to her knees as the fire consumed her. The white glow darkened into gold, then into crimson. Cirith roared and launched himself at the shadow, claws tearing through the air. The Emperor turned toward him, raising one smoky hand. Red lightning struck the dragon mid-flight, throwing him across the chamber. Ilara's voice trembled. He's inside me. Kale rushed to her side, holding her shoulders. Listen to me. You're stronger than him. Her eyes flickered, one gold, one red. Kale, it's too strong. He shook his head. No, you can fight it. You're not just fire. You're light. Her breathing slowed, the air around her pulsing. Inside her mind, she saw the Emperor, standing in an endless void, his hand reaching toward her. You can't escape what you are, he said softly. You and I share the same flame. Together, we could reshape creation. Ilara glared at him. You destroy everything you touch. He smiled faintly. Destruction brings rebirth. You'll learn that, when the stars burn again. Suddenly, she felt a warm presence beside her. A voice, soft and kind, whispered, not the Emperor's but her mother's. Elara, you are not born of darkness. You are the end of it. Her eyes opened wide, and golden tears streamed down her face. The fire shifted again, white, pure, and blinding. The Emperor screamed as the light tore through his shadow form. No. You cannot erase me. I am eternal. Elara rose slowly, her feet lifting off the ground. Her hair flowed like flame, her eyes shining with the fire of creation itself. You were eternal, she said softly, until now. She raised her hands, and the light exploded outward. The Emperor's shadow shattered into 1,000 burning fragments. Each one screamed as it was pulled into a blinding storm of white fire. The ruins trembled. The ground cracked open. For a moment, it looked like the whole planet would break apart. Kale shielded his eyes. Elara. But she didn't answer. She stood in the middle of the storm, glowing brighter than the sun. The fire consumed everything, the machines, the floor, the air itself, until all that remained was silence and light. Then, slowly, the flames faded. Elara collapsed, falling into Kale's arms again. Cirith limped forward, his scales blackened from the lightning. He looked at her with tired eyes. Is it done? Kale looked around. The ashes were gone. The shadows were gone. Even the red light of the Empire's core had vanished. I think it's over, he whispered. Elara stirred, whispering weakly. I saw him, in the fire. He tried to escape, but I trapped him inside. Kale frowned. Inside what? She looked up at him, eyes dull but calm. Inside me. Cirith growled softly. Then his spirit still lives. Elara nodded faintly. Yes. But he can't control me anymore. The fire listens to me now. Kale touched her cheek gently. Then we'll make sure it stays that way. They sat together in silence as the ruins cooled. Above them, the ceiling had cracked open, revealing a night sky full of stars, peaceful for the first time in centuries. Cirith spread his wings slowly, wincing from the pain. The Empire's light is gone. But something new will rise from this. Kale looked up. Maybe something better. Elara smiled faintly. A world without fear. They began to walk toward the surface, each step slow and heavy. Behind them, the ruins of the Emperor's chamber glowed faintly one last time, then went dark forever. But far beyond the ruins, in the cold reaches of space, a fragment of red flame drifted silently through the void. It pulsed once, faintly, like a heartbeat. And in the whisper of the stars came a voice. You may have won the fire, child. But the darkness never sleeps.